Hey boys and girls, welcome back. It's me, Keith, in this Sprint Guy, and welcome to week 34, in which I share with you all kinds of strange and unusual cards from a game called Magic the Gathering. Misprints, test prints, if there's something downright weird with it, I want to share it with you. So now, what do I have for you this week? Well, yeah, I'm fresh back from Gen Con 2012, and I have passed 1,000 subscribers. So it's time for me to share with you the red time walk that I had promised you, okay? But now this is something that is much bigger than that. Now, what do I have for you? I have alpha playtest cards. See, now here's the thing. I mean, it seems like duh, but there was a point when we did not have Magic the Gathering. This had to be, they had to think about it, conceive it, implement it, playtest these cards, and that is exactly what I have for you. I have cards that predate alpha. So now let me share with you what they look like. It's actually really simple. They were running this off in some guy's basement, and this is what they are. They're just hand-cut little slips of paper. And this is a Stone Rain. So now let me drop in a scan of a Stone Rain and a couple of other familiar cards. Now you look at that and you think, alright, yeah, I get it. Stone Rain, sorcery, yeah, it destroys a land, 2 and 1 red. It's exactly how I remember it. Well, that's not actually how things work. Now, if you look at the casting cost of the cards there that I have for you, and you see for the Stone Rain it says 2R, and that is 2 total mana, one of which that has to be red. So this is not exactly how you would envision alpha cards to be. This is something that got changed, of course, and the way things are done now is completely different. But that is exactly how these cards were done. Now, the real key here is there's actually 3 different phases of these cards, and not to be confused with the cards that were actually printed, but these 3 phases before they were done, they were referred to as alpha, beta, and gamma. So again, not to be confused with the cards that were actually printed. I'm talking about the 3 phases of these cards. Now, the thing is, the original plan was to make a board game, and then that got shot down, so they decided to make a collectible card game, and well, rest is history. But let me share with you how things evolved. Alright, now the first thing is, let me share with you a creature, and so take a look at that. Now that is a wolf, and you'll see that there is this little circle up there in the top, and it's colored in green. And that is the first and second phases are like that. Now you'll see what they did was they just printed these cards off of these circles, and then they were like, let's make it green. Yeah, green, that works. So that was how they were able to figure out and just kind of play with colors and all that. But now the real key is, if you look at the bottom of that Wolves card, you will actually see that it has just one number down at the bottom. And that is the original phase of the creatures did not have a power and toughness. They only had one number. And also you can check out and you'll see that the next phase, that still has those little circles, but then they decided, well, you know what, we need 2 numbers for these creatures, and so let's have one for, offense and another one for like defense, and that became the power and toughness that we are familiar with. And then there is the final phase in which these cards only have, it's actually written in there. So for that example, like this Stone Rain that I shared with you, or a Wall of Brambles, there you go. The Wall of Brambles, it says 4G, and then it has just what you would imagine. Like, remember, the creatures originally said summon, and then it has the power and toughness, and it tells you exactly how the card plays and stuff like that. So now the thing is, of course, you want to see the red Power 9 card, and here it is. This is a Starburst, and it's in a sleeve here so that I can shuffle and play with it. But anyway, here's our Starburst, and let me drop in a scan of it so that you can check this out. So it's 2R, which means 1 and 1 red, and it's a sorcery, and it says opponent loses next turn. So you think, alright, opponent loses next turn, so then that means they'll lose their turn, I get to go again. Well, not everyone exactly saw it that way, so they said opponent loses next turn. So here, I'll play Starburst, go, you lose. So now, needless to say, this was one of those little kinks that they had to figure out. At the last minute, they decided, well, let's make this a blue card, but there is a playtest card of Time Walk, so it's hard to say. Did they at some point go, no, let's not make it red, let's make it blue? Or did they say, well, let's make it red and blue, and then they were like, well, I don't know, that might be a bit much. So it's hard to say, but ultimately, of course, we know we only got the blue Time Walk. And the way that Time Walk is worded has a lot to do with, take an additional turn after this one. It's only because of the confusion that Starburst caused. So yeah, and I mean, I have other really good cards. I mean, this is an Ancestral Recall. It was called Ancestral Memory. And, there's a lot of things like this that I really want to cover, but I don't want to make this a 20-minute long video. Now, I'm sure the first thing you want to ask is, well, how much are these worth? Well, I haven't seen very many in several years, so it's really hard to determine because just finding them is a pain in the ass. So good luck. But I'm sure the other question you want to know is, well, we've got these little bits of paper. How in the world do we even know they're real? Well, I have documentation, and that helps. But more importantly, I actually played against Richard Garfield, and I have the pictures to prove it. Now, the interesting thing is, I did play the Starburst against him, and he did interpret it and said, no, that's all you get to do. You only get to take an additional turn. But I have a lot of other funny cards. For instance, Goblins. That is actually Richard Garfield's photocopied face. And then I have other things like Spock and other copyrighted material printed on these cards. So those make for some very interesting ones. And I have a Plains that was actually conceived to be a red land, not a white land. And that's the only Plains I have like that. But yes, I do have something like that. And so this is just one of those things where it's like, man, I could really go on forever. So what I want you to do is ask me some very good questions. If you ask me some very good questions, I will cover them in an upcoming video. I will make this a 2 or a 3-parter, and I will share with you a lot more of these cards because I do have a few hundred. And so I know that you all wanted to see the red Time Walk. So there you are. And that is something that I wanted to share with you because yes, there was a point in time where they had to conceive this and implement the game. And this is it. This is Magic history. So other than that, questions, comments, concerns, you feel free to get a hold of me. Otherwise, I will see you soon. So take care.